Databases, SQL and NoSQL. Databases. Databases are a collection of information that is organized so that it can be easily accessed, managed, and updated. They are classified according to their organizational approach. Two types are SQL databases and NoSQL databases. SQL. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. It is used to communicate with the database. Data is stored within rows in a table. SQL language. Elements of SQL language include clauses, expressions, predicates, queries, and statements. Clauses. Clauses are components of statements and queries. They can be optional in some cases. Example clauses include from and where. To the right is an example of simple clauses. Expressions. They produce scalar values. They also produce tables consisting of columns and rows. Expressions can be used to solve mathematical operations. Predicates. Predicates are used to specify conditions that can be evaluated to the SQL three-value logic, which is true, false, and unknown. They are used to limit the effects of statements and queries and can also change program flow. Queries. They are an important element of SQL. They retrieve data based on specific criteria and are performed with the declarative select statement. Statements. Statements have persistent effect on schemata and data. They control transactions, connections, and diagnostics. A semicolon is used at the end of a statement in SQL. NoSQL databases. These databases do not use the SQL language to communicate with the database. They are developed in response to the rise in volume of data stored. NoSQL databases include document databases, graph store databases, key value store databases, and wide column databases. Document databases. Documents encode data or information in a standard format or encodings. Documents are addressed via a unique key that represents the document. Documents can be retrieved based on their contents. Graph store databases. They are designed for data that is well represented in a graph. They scale naturally to large data sets. They are primarily used for social relations, public transport links, and road maps data. Key value store databases. They use an associative array as its fundamental data model. Data is represented as a collection of key value pairs. They are one of the simplest, non-trivial data models. To the right is an example of the key value system. Wide column store databases. These databases store data and records with an ability to hold very large numbers of dynamic columns. Columns are created for each row rather than being predefined by the table structure. A popular column store database is HBase. SQL versus NoSQL. There are key differences between SQL and NoSQL databases. These are the types of schema used and scalability. Types of schema. SQL databases use predefined schema. NoSQL databases use dynamic schema for unstructured data. Both approaches work better with certain kinds of data. Scalability. SQL databases are vertically scalable. NoSQL databases are horizontally scalable. SQL databases are scaled by increasing the horsepower of the hardware, while NoSQL databases are scaled by increasing the database servers and the pool of resources to reduce load. SQL platforms include MySQL Community Edition, MS SQL Server Express Edition, and Oracle Express Edition. NoSQL platforms include MongoDB, CouchDB, and Redis. SQL and NoSQL are two different approaches to creating databases. Each approach has its own benefits and challenges. It is important for businesses to use the type of database that best suits their needs.